Today we're going to talk about the top 5 must-have cards for any yellow deck you're trying to build in the Digimon card game. Digimon fans, welcome to another top list video where I'll be showing you guys what the top 5 must-have cards or even staple cards for any yellow deck that you're trying to build for the Digimon TCG in 2023. Keep in mind, this is my very own list based on my personal opinions, and all the cards I included are of the time of making this video. The cards that we're going to be talking about today will specifically only to be yellow, which I will not include any generic cards that come in multiple colors such as memory boosts, hybrids, or effect blockers. And speaking of which, we actually covered those cards already in my other top 6 must-have staple cards generically for 2023, and that takes in consideration for all the colors in the game. So if you haven't checked out that video yet, be sure to do so as well. I will leave a link on the iCard on the top right and in the description box down below. Like always, there is no particular order on where these staples rank, but they would certainly be helpful for any of you guys who want to optimize your yellow-based decks, so let's jump right into it. I am also super excited to announce a new feature on my channel where I launched my very first ever YouTube membership called the Avault Club. By joining, you will have access to exclusive perks and contents that regular viewers don't have. Perks include the Avault Club membership badge, and the best part is that you'll be able to see members-only community posts featuring my first draft deck profiles even before the video comes out. You will see more updates by me for every deck profile release and even updated deck lists and adjustments with all the lists. Your comments and questions will also have priority replies from me. So what are you guys waiting for? Click on the join button right now. Thank you all so much for the support, and I look forward to engaging with you guys. To start off for our very first card, which I would even argue for it to be one of the best cards in the game, where we have Reinforcing Memory Boost. This card came out in BT6 Double Diamond, and it was only printed as a common, meaning it's super accessible for everybody. For a cost of 6 memory, this option reviews the top 2 cards of your deck, and you get to add one to your hand and then the other to the top of your security stack. And then afterwards, you place this option card in your battle area. Having the choice to search and recover at the same time is really good, especially you can add useful card to your hand and then set up a card that can be activated for free from security as well. But that's not all. Just like all other memory boosts, this card has a delay effect that gains you memory by sending it from your battle area to the trash. But unlike all the other memory boost options out there, which usually gives you 2 memory, Reinforcing Memory Boost in return gives you 3 memory back instead, and that is huge. Usually a 6 cost option would be very steep to play, but this card gives you so much value that many yellow and security control based decks were abusing 4 copies of this card right off the bat. And this is when Bandai had to put the hammer down and restrict this card down to 1. Every time I build a yellow deck, this is one of the first few key cards I immediately ask myself if it can be added in or should be added in into the deck. And most of the time, the answer is yes. And I would recommend you guys to do the same too when you're building your yellow decks, is to consider Reinforcing Memory Boost. Next up for the second card, we got TK from BT1, and this card was also reprinted in Tournament Pack 3. TK is a memory tamer, and its on-play effect lets you search your security stack and add one card among them to your hand by revealing the card that you added to your opponent. And if that card was yellow, then you get to recover the top card of your deck to your security and then shuffle the stack afterwards. This card is most commonly played in yellow decks because of its unique ability to search and access a different parameter of resource, being your own security, which no other color does. And I think this is what makes this card so good. That is not all. The information you get by looking at your own security provides you a huge amount of value depending on how you utilize it too. In some yellow decks and playstyles, it can greatly help you plan out your next moves and what you need to do for future turns. The only caveat to TK is that if you added a non-yellow card, you will not get to recover your security, which could set you behind or even cause you to lose games during critical moments when your opponents are swinging at you. And the exact situation with the worst feeling is when your opponent swings at you for pressure and all it took was a TK that was activated from security while you have very few securities left, and unfortunately you do not have a yellow card to review and add to your hand, therefore you're left with no options to add a non-yellow card afterwards, meaning you just took out your own security for no reason, and then it ends with your opponent having enough resources to swing at you for game. The general rule of thumb is to keep TK at a lower number if you have more other color cards that are not yellow in your deck to reduce the chances of that TK backfiring at you when it activates in security unwantedly. Therefore, most decks usually run 1 to 3 copies, depending on how heavy you are with the yellow cards and color for the rest of your build. For the third card, we also have another tamer, which is TK and Kari, which was from the BT6 Double Diamond set. At the start of your turn, if you have less security than your opponent, you gain 2 memory. During the early stages of many games, your opponents will always try to swing in with their rookies to chip damage. And by establishing this tamer early, it can provide you so much value to play even more cards too. Yellow is known to be a slightly slower color, therefore this tamer really pays off with the synergy as well with the playstyle. This causes your opponents to respect the early chips, and then they'll have to rethink twice before wanting to do so. There's also a secondary effect. When you attack with a yellow Digimon, you can suspend this tamer to reduce one of your opponent's Digimon by 1000 DP. This can help you achieve certain magic numbers to either potentially stack more DP reduction effects to get rid of your opponent's Digimon, or lets your Digimon to swing over some of your opponent's stronger Digimon too. Not all yellow decks would play this tamer, but is generic and good enough to have 2 or 3 copies for most yellow decks, and I would recommend getting a playset of them anyways since they're very accessible, especially if you ever plan to play yellow hybrid. As another honorable mention, we got a newer one where I would like to also recommend the dual color tamer Tai and Kari from BT9. Tai and Kari gives you memory at the start of the turn if you have 3 or fewer security cards, and then they also give you another memory if your opponent has 3 or fewer security cards too. The effect has a very similar concept to TK and Kari when it comes to gaining memory, but the main difference is that Tai and Kari rewards you for playing aggressive by chipping away your opponent's security and offers value while you're behind in security both at the same time. Overall, I would choose between the 2 of these tamers depending on your personal playstyle and preference. Talking about even more option cards, for our 4th one, we have Wyvern's Breath next on the list. For 8 costs, you reduce one of your opponent's Digimon down by 15,000 DP. Its security effect lets you activate the main effect as well, and 15,000 DP is a very large number that pretty much covers most Digimon in the game. This is basically a very good generic defensive and removal card for yellow, and by having 1 to 2 copies is always helpful. But it wouldn't hurt to get a playset anyways since this card is very accessible as well. Last but not least, we have a card that some of you guys may not consider as a staple, but more of a tech card, and we have Venusmon. This card was released in BT10 Cross Encounter. Venusmon's first effect is when digivolving, all your opponent's Digimon gain security -1 until the end of your opponent's turn. This is also a blanket effect that applies to any new Digimon being played, digivolved, or even promoted from the raising area. Her second effect is during your opponent's turn, where your opponent's Digimon with any security attack modifiers such as security +1 or -1 can't attack this Digimon and cannot activate when attacking or when digivolving effects too. The reason why I included this card is because of her effect being super generic and not archetype specific, meaning she can be added to basically any yellow type deck. Venusmon offers great defensive plays and can buy you an entire turn with her effect. Therefore, I would consider this card to be one of the best yellow level 6s at the moment and would recommend you guys having 2 to 3 copies in case if you ever want to splash it in your yellow builds. Now I'll wrap up for the top 5 must-have yellow cards for the Digimon card game. If you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful, be sure to give this video a like. What do you guys think about the list I came up with? Are there any other cards that I missed out or some other cards you guys would consider as must-have for yellow decks? Be sure to share your thoughts with me and everyone else in the comments section down below. If you want to learn more what the other top 5 must-have cards for other colors such as red and blue, then be sure to check out those videos too. We still got other colors to cover as well, so if you guys are just as excited and can't wait, then be sure to subscribe, turn on that notification bell right now to stay tuned. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video. This is Avault, signing out.